Hello and welcome to Pest in Class, Expert Voices in Pest Management. Today we spoke with Zach Boardman, Director of Technical Operations at HomeShield, located in Orange County, California. We discussed HomeShield's extensive apprenticeship program, actively listening to your customers, and how FieldRoutes reports can shape your business. I'm your host, Amanda Salvatore. Let's get into it. Zach Boardman, you are the Director of Technical Operations at HomeShield Pest Control in Orange County, California. Welcome to Pest in Class.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I'm so excited. We're actually in studio today. We're in person. I don't normally get to do this, so it's a very special episode for us today.
Yes, I feel it. It feels special.
You're getting the star treatment
yes,
today.
I like it.
So I figured since we are in Burbank, and we are amongst several television and movie studios, including Warner Brothers and Disney, I would pick an icebreaker that was appropriate for our location. So if you could take one prop from any movie set, what would it be?
Okay. This is the hardest question of the day here. So I'm not a big movie guy, so I have to really think about this one. But I was thinking either hot tub time machine, the hot tub, because I'd love to go back in the past and relax and fix a lot of my mistakes. I live with a lot of guilt and shame, so...
Well, I think that's... well, I am so sorry that's something that you carry with you, but also I'm glad that you are thinking in that way. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, more of a joke. Probably a lightsaber. I mean, that'd be pretty sick. Who wouldn't want one of those, you know?
Yeah,
so,
no,
cool,
I like
right?
that too.
Yeah.
I think a lightsaber would be really convenient.
Yeah, right.
Just to have around the house.
Of course, yeah. You can do so much with it. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey into pest control and with HomeShield?
Well, like a lot of people that probably get into the pest control industry, I don't know if anyone actually seeks it out, but just kind of fell into it, right? So a lot of customer service roles, a lot of sales roles in the past, and came out here to California, got with a larger company, won't say their name, but got licensed and just went through the progressions of going through the licensing program, started selling, doing termite inspections, rodent inspections around residential neighborhoods. That was in... out in the Inland Empire in California, and then ended up moving into another company, getting into commercial sales, then getting into operations, some leadership, some management, and eventually found my way into HomeShield, where I've done a variety of different things for them and been with them now for the last few years. So it's been quite the tale, a lot of life lessons, lots of experience, ups and downs, and I feel like I'm in a really, really good place right now with HomeShield. So I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to be here. So
I have to ask, what is something you really love about the pest control industry?
A lot. There really is a lot. One, I love helping people. The more I stay in it, the more I realize that, it is a necessity for a lot of people, not only for the commercial side of the business where some of these companies actually need pest control services like restaurants, hospitality, right? Protects brands, right? Enhances images, right? That's really critical, really important. Also, for the residential side of it, people want to enjoy their patios. They want to enjoy the backyards, right? They want to not see an ant, not see a spider, that type of stuff. So that's really exciting. But I'd say the thing that I enjoy the most is that, when I joined it, I was much younger then, about 10 years ago, right? And I just never knew what a business it was, just the total operation of it. It's just like any other business as it scales, right? There's so much to it. There's so much opportunity, and it gives an opportunity for a lot of people that maybe don't go to the traditional career path to get involved in something and start learning all these different aspects, and it's really exciting. So
I hear that often on the podcast, how people discover what it really means to be doing these services.
Yeah.
And I don't think many people understand that until they're in the thick of it.
Right.
About really just about helping people and a standard of living.
Yeah.
I would love to know, you started in sales and now you're in pest control, you're in this industry. How has that history shaped your perspective?
Well, the sales side of it, that was like my first real outside sales role where I was really interacting with people in their home, seeing, the ins and outs of people's homes, how they maintain them and things like that. And I really got to be comfortable in that environment, right? Meeting with a lot of people that way, and then just going through the business end of it, learning all the operations, work with people that were my age when they joined the industry. It shaped my perspective in the sense that there's so much opportunity there, right? And then you have so much influence over certain decisions that you make when you start working with a variety of different people, right? The things that you say, the things that you do, the way that you cater to customers, right? It's changed my perspective on a lot of different things.
I bet.
Yeah.
And I know that you're constantly thinking about the customer.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your number one tip for providing exceptional customer service, whether it's for the owner, for a technician, or someone who's answering calls?
One thing that I've learned recently, and this is something that's pretty new, is that, they have the old adage, the customer's always right. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they're not, right? But their experience is, right? So it's different for everybody, right? So you can have the exact same situation twice, but if somebody experiences it a little bit different, you have to be understanding of that. So I always try to agree with the customer. I always try to see where they're coming from. And I feel like once I break down those barriers of agreeing with them, trying to see from their side, that's when I'm able to break down those walls, right? And really understand where they're coming from and hopefully have a conversation. And if they're escalated or whatever the case might be, it really opens it up a lot more. So long answer to that, but short would be, just agree with them, try to understand, make sure that they feel like they're heard and make sure that they feel like they're right until a point where you can come to an agreement, right?
Yeah, really listening to your customer.
Yes.
Making sure they know that you understand their concerns.
Yes.
And then you're able to bring your expertise. But that's your in. That's the way to really connect with them first and foremost.
I agree. Active listening is super, super important, right? Because it's those specific things. Mm-hmm. So, they could have 100 problems going on around their house or their business, but if they're really caught up in this one little area of whatever the issue might be, that's the thing you want to focus on, right? So actively listening to that specific thing, solving that, and that's really going to open up everything else.
I hear that. Now, I'd love to shift to something we actually haven't really gotten the opportunity to talk about on the podcast, apprenticeship programs.
Yes.
And how incredible they really are to get new hires to really enter this field with knowledge and confidence. Can you tell me a bit about HomeShield's apprenticeship program?
Yeah. So this is probably what I'm most passionate about because I came up the same way, right? I never wanted to be in pest control. I never thought about it, right? So coming into a company where, you're able to come in, get a little bit of an education, some licensing and things like that, just giving people that opportunity to learn something new, right? And it's brand new. It's not common knowledge to a lot of people. There's a lot of regulations, a lot of rules that go into that. So what we like to do, and it's something that we're really trying to build up a lot right now, is just bringing, all sorts of different people in, no matter what age or their experiences or whatever it might be, bring them in, put them through a program, 60, 90 days, have them learn some different aspects of the business, get in the study material that they need to succeed, get licensed, and start their journey through the business of pest control and the operation, right? And you start to find that these routes, these inspections that they get assigned, all these things, it's like their own little book of business that the company's providing them a vehicle for to really learn how to manage not only the customer, but manage themselves and their time and really just grow into it. So it's incredible. Yeah.
What are some of the aspects of this apprenticeship program that you really admire?
A lot of it's the education piece. I like that a lot where, you're giving people test material, right? And they're learning all these things for the first time. And you would never think you would have to know how many nodes or like an ant's antenna or whatever the case might be. And that's just one part of it, right? Understanding how regulated the industry actually is, particularly in the state of California, right? That depending on the weather, you may want to treat differently, right? There's a lot of that that's really awesome. I would also say that just the connections and the relationships that they make as they latch on to different people within the organization, you start to see their strengths and their weaknesses and kind of what direction their career is going to go, right? So, and that's one thing that I really love about HomeShield, and I truly believe this, is that we hire based on character and based on the person, right? So, yeah, they may apply for a certain position or they may get into that apprenticeship program, but we start to find and tweak, their abilities to what it is that we want to do. It's really cool to see the development.
I love this idea of looking at the soft skills that someone is bringing, because you cannot teach soft skills. You can't teach someone to show up on time. You can't teach somebody those personal moments, right? That active listening. You can get there, but you really, it sounds like through this program, you're finding those skills and honing in on them.
100%. Yeah. It always starts with getting licensed, right? You got to be licensed to do the work. But yeah, I can think of a few people that we've hired in the last couple of years where we bring them in and they become like a technician, right? Or they start doing a little bit of exclusion work or whatever the case might be. And you start to find like, actually, this guy is great with people. He's super personable, right? Or she's super personable, and they become an excellent sales rep, right? It's really just, again, finding that strength, utilizing their character, right? Seeing what they're good at and placing them. So,
yeah. It's all about that active listening.
Yes.
Really, it comes back to that. If someone was interested in joining HomeShield's apprenticeship program, how would they do so?
Well, they could go on Indeed. We always have an ad up. They could always reach out to us directly on our website as well. We're always hiring. We're always looking to kind of bring in a farm of people, right? And just, trying to place them, right? And getting ready for the next season and the next season after that. So
Incredible. I'd love to shift to FieldRoutes. I know that you have a lot of experience with the software. You're in it every day. So how has it transformed the way you manage your business operations?
Oh, it's everything, right? Obviously, the customer is always first, but it's really an extension of our customer and our business operations. So, yeah, I'm super integrated into it. I love all of the routing functionality, right? Being able to kind of look at the day for each office, a snapshot of what everybody's doing, being able to see how our customers are communicating with us, and being able to select their preferred method of communication, whether it's text, email, automated voice messages. The reporting is just off the hook. I love all of the stuff there where, again, at the end of every day, I'm running, 9, 10 different reports, just seeing how we did for the day, where our receivables are at, how our routes ended up, our sales dollars, customer feedback, that type of stuff. And then I'm coming in the next morning and I'm doing it again. So you're able to just grab, thousands of bits of information and kind of just put them all together and really get an understanding of how your business is progressing, how it's aging, areas of improvement. And there's always nice little tweaks and upgrades that are coming out. And and I'm not just saying this because I'm on the podcast, but the enterprise support it's incredible. They answer so quickly. They always have it together, and that's a really good partner to have. So
amazing. I'd love to dive a little bit deeper into a couple of things that you've mentioned.
Sure.
Once again, going back to the customer and always communicating with them. Can you tell us how FieldRoutes has impacted those relationships with your customers?
Yeah, I could think of several examples. So I remember when I first started about 10 years ago when we were using another software back then. All the techs were calling all their customers the night before, right? Kind of getting things ready. So one thing that's really awesome is now we can put all of our routes on and we kind of time it where we can notify all our customers in bulk, right? So we can notify 1,000 people in bulk as far as their time of their appointments, 24, 48 hours in advance. So that's really, really useful. Some of the reporting where you're able to drill down specific lines of business that they do and do not have. It allows us to also, send out messaging that way as well, right? Maybe trying to integrate some new lines of business, some of the marketing pro functionality where we're able to, automate some of the email templates, really target certain zip codes and cities and things like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I learn a lot from the podcast, hearing people talk. And I think it's just incredible the way that you can personalize it to meet your needs. So you also mentioned the reports.
Yes.
And I have never gotten the opportunity to talk about the reports on the podcast. So I'd really love to dive into, you're saying you're in those reports every day.
Yes.
What is your process with those and how are you utilizing them to get some key takeaways?
Yeah, sure. So if you could think of any aspect of the business, there's a report for it or you can build a report for it, right? So one report that I like a lot is the route reporting. So you see, everything that's scheduled for the day and you can run that report 3, 4, 5 times over again throughout throughout the day and see how many appointments did we miss, right? How many did we complete? How many are still pending from, another day? Also, hey, were they late? So you can do that in bulk, right? So that's awesome. Our receivables reports, just kind of our payment history, seeing how the different ways that the transactions come and go, some of the different messaging that kind of gives you a clear indicator of where you're going to be forecast there. I would say the most powerful thing, though, is our actual customer report. And what that is, it's kind of just like an extension of all of the other reports. So you plug in all of your parameters of what it is. Maybe you got Miss Jones out in Laguna Beach who has this line of business, and you can plug in her last due date, the last time she took service, right? Is there a balance on the account? And then I want to find 10 other customers like that. And then I can flag these accounts in bulk where, hey, I want to come back to these accounts later. And that's all done through the customer report. Or I can send them an email, send them a text message, or I could do a bulk freeze, right? Like, hey, maybe I want to put all these accounts on hold. So the customer, setting up the due dates, the bill dates, you can even start doing subscription-based reports out of this master customer report. It's a really, really powerful tool.
It sounds like it. Are there any specifics or any stories that you have from taking this information from the customer report and really running with it and changing a part of how you're running the business or how you're approaching a problem?
Gosh, yeah. Again, so many different examples where, maybe I want to look back to just see specifically what services we did on a certain day where I can just run like an appointment report. Or again, trying to isolate certain customers with subscriptions and other lines of business that we could add on. Another one would be our monthly and quarterly reoccurring services, and just running that report, seeing who's taken the initial services and who hasn't, right? Or if they're being billed a certain way and we want to change that type of billing. And we've used that a lot just to kind of gauge plans 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now. So just being able to look at that information, looking at the trends and being able to export it into like a spreadsheet, like an Excel or something, or a Google Sheet, and just building a bunch of different charts and graphs off of that and trending data, right?
Yeah. So, learning a lot from those reports, it sounds like. And really just shifting your game plan.
100%. Yeah.
So with these reports, you're reading these, you're gathering up all of this information, and now we're at the end. We're recording this at the end of 2024.
Yes.
And we will be releasing this in 2025.
Awesome.
So what are you looking forward to in the next year with HomeShield?
Well, definitely continuing to grow our apprenticeship program. I would say that we are always looking to grow, but at the right time and the right scale. So it's really important to us that, before we ever make any type of expansion or moves or business changes, we want to make sure we're good. So one of our core values or part of our mission is we're not trying to be the biggest, we're trying to be the best. We have a 5-star reputation and we do everything in that manner. So I'm looking really forward to us expanding, being able to share that with other parts of California, the country, and seeing the staff that we bring on and getting to go through and live that same kind of progression and sharing on the fun, right? So, really exciting.
Yeah. That is really exciting.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that you will have a successful 2025.
I think so.
You mentioned not being the biggest, but being the best that you can be, right?
Yes.
And that being a part of the mission. What qualities do you feel make a business the best it can be?
Well, it always comes back to the person that's using your product, right? Or your service. So that customer experience that we spoke on earlier, that's everything, right? So I think about a technician that I worked with at a prior company, and he was not a very good technician, but he had great relationships with his customers. And I would go out with him and there'd be spider webs all over the place, ants, and they'd come running out the door, give him a hug. And I was like, my first exposure to that, like, what's going on? This doesn't look right. Like, I can tell the service isn't great, but the customers loved him so much and they trusted him so much and they confided in him that it made me realize that, like, oh, this is really, about the customer, right? Like, of course, we're here to take care of their bugs and their insects and rodents or whatever the case might be. But when that customer really trusts you and you can talk to them and you can communicate with them, it goes a long way, right? So that's a big part of it. And again, with HomeShield, one thing that we're really focused on is maintaining our 5-star reputation. So we go above and beyond anytime we feel like there's been something that maybe didn't quite go that way or that experience has changed for some reason. Obviously, we always want to provide that up front, and we're not perfect, right? But when things do go awry, I truly believe that, whatever it takes. So again, that customer's experience, how they've went through that motion, right? And went through the company and onboarded and hopefully not offboarded, that they left with a peace of mind. So,
yeah, absolutely. It sounds like putting the customer first really sets the tone for the service and for the business, and is really where it all begins.
Yes, begins and continues.
Continues. And we'll go on and on.
Yes.
So I want to pivot just a little bit. You are a musician.
A little bit.
And not even a little bit. You have to be a bit of a musician to write an entire album, which I know that you have done. And it takes a lot of creativity to not just write a song, but to come up with an album soup to nuts. So do you see any crossover between your music skills and the work that you do with HomeShield?
I'm very fortunate to be in a position where I'm able to use some of my favorite parts of myself. And nowadays, it feels like everybody's like an artist, and creativity, it just streams out of everybody. So I don't feel like special or unique in that way, but it's like a muscle that, I love to flex over and over again. So being in the company that I'm in now, it allows me to piece together, meetings or, different business designs or, branding, marketing, things like that. So, and I think about, the process of making an album or a song, right? It always has to start somewhere, right? And really that's the hardest part, because people get really, and myself included, they don't like hearing themselves fail, right? Or they get really proud or they're embarrassed or whatever the case might be. So it just really takes someone to hit that first note, hit that first chord, and allow other people to influence it, right? And be open to collaboration. So I've learned a lot through that. And when I did my album, it took me a couple years. And through that process, I realized what it means to work with people, right? Having something that feels so precious to you, and to be able to let that go and allow people to stack on top of that and hear what they want to hear. And then you just go through that process of trusting it, right? And then the end result, when it comes out and everything's mixed and mastered, it's a lot like, my everyday job, right? It's like you have to listen to people. They have to be open to criticism. They have to be able to constructively have a conversation with you, and you do the same. Crucial conversations, really. And being able to build off that, it's amazing, right? It's like you're singing a song together.
Yeah. There's all these musicians. There's all of these team players.
Yeah.
My question for you is, for listeners who are owners, maybe they have a small business, they're just starting out, and they're having a hard time handing over those keys. They're starting to hire, they're starting to expand, but it is really precious. It is something that they're very protective over. So what would be your advice to them?
Yeah, obviously it's going to depend on the owner and the situation, but I would just say, try to prove yourself, right? Try to find something, like do your role, but find something maybe outside of your role or something that you're really strong at, and just keep hitting that note over and over again, or keep pounding the desk on that thing. And eventually there's going to be so much there that you're going to own that thing. And I would think that the owner's just going to trust that, hey, you know what? I can finally take my eyes off this. This person's got it. Don't be afraid to have some confidence and trust in others. Right?
Yes, I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah.
This has been such a lovely conversation. But before we go, I would love to ask, is there anything you wish we talked about today?
Just where's the coffee? Where's the food?
I didn't have a spread already.
I know,
I'm
right?
so sorry.
Yeah.
Zach, thank you so much for coming on to Pest in Class. This was a really great conversation, and I appreciate you coming all this way.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.